Hello students, today we will understand about some benign lesions of larynx of which vocal nodule and vocal polyps are most important from exam point of view. It'll just be a short presentation, but yes, it can fetch you few MCQ marks as well as some short notes in the exam. So of the benign tumors of larynx, vocal nodule is the most common. Vocal nodule, also called as singer's nodule, screamer's nodule, or teacher's nodule. As the name suggests, they are more common in singers, in screamers, in teachers. Now, what is the most common site? So in this photo, if you see, this is the level of glottis. This is the vocal, these are the vocal cords. Now, in the vocal cord, the junction of anterior 1/3 and the posterior 2/3, I repeat, in the vocal cords, the junction of anterior 1/3 and the posterior 2/3 is the area which vibrates maximum during talking. And so, most common site of presentation will be at the junction of anterior 1/3 and posterior 2/3. Its size can vary. We need to understand, initially, the vocal cords are soft and slowly they become hardened, they become firm. And these are always, majority of time, these are bilateral. So on both the vocal cords, when we see a raised projection, more likely diagnosis will be vocal nodule. And the most common cause is vocal trauma, that is speaking for long duration, especially among teachers speaking in high intensity. It can be seen in singers, teachers, in politicians those people who need to give a lot of lectures, who need to talk a lot. In all those people, there is high chance of vocal nodule. Yes, actors, even school-going children, sometimes it becomes common who are shouting. So what happens actually is, because of constant overuse of the voice, there is constant minimal trauma which happens at this site. Because of this trauma, edema develops. At this edema, because of this trauma, edema and hemorrhage happens in the submucosal area. This trauma continues because it is the profession of person to talk, and in this edema and the hemorrhage, fibrosis happens, and on this fibrosis, epithelial hyperplasia develops, and this is the stage when vocal nodule forms. So edema, hemorrhage, on which fibrosis happens, and because of the fibrosis, epithelial hyperplasia develops. Main feature will be, you need to take the history of the patient regarding the profession of patient. He will typically have a history of overuse of voice. The symptom will be hoarse voice. Patient gives a typical hoarseness of voice and vocal fatigue. They typically say that after speaking for long duration, I feel very weak or my neck muscles start paining. Also, part of history is that if he's a teacher, 5 days when he's teaching, the voice is hoarse. But when he goes back Saturday, Sunday, when talking is less, when teaching is not there, on Monday, the voice becomes better. Or if the teacher or the person goes for a month of vacation, his voice becomes better. So these are typical history for vocal nodule. Vocal nodule, initially, when they are, most of times they are very soft, and speech therapy remains the early form of treatment, where when patient takes proper speech therapy, vocal nodule improves. However, if the vocal nodule becomes firm or hard, speech therapy may not help, or even after 4 to 6 weeks of speech therapy, patient is not improving. We need to excise the nodule. It is in the vocal cords, it is inside the larynx, and they are very small, so we require a microscope. So this procedure is called as microlaryngoscopy. Remember, the term is microlaryngoscopy. Without plain laryngoscopy, we cannot remove a vocal nodule. It is microlaryngoscopy and excision, definitely, followed by speech therapy. So vocal nodule is initially speech therapy, followed by ML-scopy and excision. In vocal polyp, coming to vocal polyps are also at the same site, that is anterior 1/3 and the posterior 2/3. They mainly happen because of sudden shouting. A person who has gone for a say cricket match or a football match, shouted a lot, next day, a few days later, starts having hoarse voice. And these gets aggravated by allergic conditions and smoking. The most important point is these are always unilateral. These are always unilateral, and they will have a peduncle which is attached to the vocal cord. So they are soft, smooth, and very important, they are pedunculated mass. So they are pedunculated, there will be a floppy kind of mass which is present. And the reason is sudden shouting leads to hemorrhage. Hemorrhage, there is submucosal edema develops, and a pedunculated mass forms over that submucosal edema. So sudden shouting leads to hemorrhage and submucosal edema develops, which leads to formation of a pedunculated mass. In vocal nodule, it was constant trauma to that site, which led to hemorrhage, fibrosis, and then hyperplasia. So this is the difference between the pathology of vocal nodule and vocal polyp. Size can be different. Size, rarely they can be bilateral also, but most of time they are unilateral. And most of time they are unilateral. The treatment mainly is emulscopy and excision. Remember, in vocal polyp, generally a speech therapy will not help. It is always excision of the polyp by microlaryngoscopy and then followed by speech therapy. So subtle difference between vocal nodule and vocal polyp is vocal nodule is bilateral, both sides. Vocal polyp is unilateral. Second, vocal nodule happens in people who are in teachers, hawkers, school-going children, actors, DJs who have voice vocal profession. Vocal polyp generally happens in those who have sudden shouting or very bad abuse of voice. Thirdly, the pathology difference, we understood that there is fibrosis, and here there is hemorrhage and submucosal edema. In vocal nodule, the treatment is first speech therapy. Patient does not improve, we take him for emulscopy and excision. In vocal polyp, it is always emulscopy and excision of the mass. Just completing the list of other benign nodules, benign lesions of the vocal cord. One is intubation granuloma. Students, intubation granuloma will always be seen in the posterior part of the vocal cord. Typically, what happens is the patient has come to casualty or in the ICU, patient is too mobile, a crash intubation is done, and during the intubation, if there is trauma to the posterior part of the vocal cord or the arytenoid cartilage, gradually granulation develops on that area and patient will present with minimal hoarseness of voice. Remember, hoarseness may not be a main feature because it is in the posterior part. If it is very large, patient may even have stridor. The treatment mainly remains is excision. We can either do a laser excision or using a coablator. We need to excise this intubation granuloma. Third is Rinke's edema. Rinke's edema is a space between the first and the second layer of the vocal cord. The vocal cord mainly has got 5 layers: the epithelium, 3 layers of lamina propria, and the muscular layer. So between the first layer of lamina propria and the epithelium, the space is called as Rinke space, which again vibrates maximum during the phonation. And when there is collection of fluid in the Rinke space, it is called as Rinke's edema. Seen in vocal abuse and increased by smoking. It's a diffuse symmetrical swelling in the entire length of the vocal cord. Diffuse symmetrical swelling occupying the entire length. Incision, removing of the cystic fluid is one treatment. Cord stripping, also one cord at a time, was also a treatment, and then followed by speech therapy. Besides, another benign lesion, or it's a pre-malignant lesion, is the leukoplakia. The main cause is constant irritation of the vocal folds, which can be because of smoking, which can be because of acid reflux. When we say smoke, not only tobacco fumes, but even the hookah fumes can lead to this kind of irritation, and it leads to a whitish, or it leads to mainly a epithelial hyperplasia in a part of the vocal fold. The position can be anywhere. A vocal nodule, vocal polyp were at the junction of anterior 1/3, posterior 2/3 because of voice abuse. This is not because of voice abuse. This is because of irritation. So it can happen anywhere on the vocal cord, and it is a whitish raised epithelial lesion which is present. Yes, they are pre-malignant condition. Patient mainly has hoarseness of voice. Treatment is we need to excise the leukoplakia, send the leukoplakia for histopathology. And if it is leukoplakia, we follow the patient up. If it is malignancy, obviously treatment will be as per CA larynx. But if it is a whitish patch, we have to excise the lesion. It can be with cold steel, it can be coablator, it can be laser, can be used for excision. So these are the 5 non-neoplastic lesions which we understood, which is vocal nodule, which are bilateral. We understood the vocal nodule, which are bilateral. There was vocal polyp, that is Rinke's edema, intubation granuloma, leukoplakia. We need to be aware of all these benign lesions because benign lesions can be asked in exam. Obviously, malignancy is less common than benign lesions, but we need to understand especially about vocal nodule, vocal polyp. Hope this class helps you in understanding or clearing some doubts about